and welcome to the Umer interview. I am Dr. Ma from Beijing Tongren Hospital. It's a real pleasure to have Professor Martin Röcken, the former president of the EADV, and Professor Tao with us today. And thank you both for joining us. Professor Röcken, let's begin with you. Could you briefly introduce yourself to our audience in China?
My name is Martin Röcken. As you've heard, I was chairman of the Department of Dermatology in Germany, in a very tiny city, unbelievably small for China, but it's only university, so we had a very big university in a relatively big, for a big area. And I have three loves. One is clinical dermatology, the other one is science, and the third one is teaching. This was my life, and I continue in research now.
Thank you. And Professor Tao, could you do the same for our audience?
I agree with Professor Martin. Yeah, actually, for me, I'm from China, from the Wuhan Union Hospital. And in our hospital, I study science, clinic, and teaching. And also, I focus on the melanoma, atopic dermatitis, psoriasis, and hidradenitis suppurativa. And I also did some transform application, such as microneedle. And Professor Martin also instruct me about how to use the microneedle in the label.
Okay, thank you. Okay, thank you. Today we are going to talk about seeing the skin through images, the story behind a classic dermatology pocket atlas. So to begin, I'd like to ask Professor Rocken, and as the editor-in-chief of the Pocket Atlas of Dermatology, this book, what inspired you to create this Pocket Atlas? And what was the original idea behind developing a compact and image-oriented dermatology reference?
That's a long story. Personally, I was first trained exclusively by a wonderful teacher in clinical dermatology. And then I went into science pure and entered the university relatively late to combine both clinics and science. And then I understood how important it is to understand the diseases we have to treat. This makes us much easier to see how it develops, what is the outcome for the patient, and to understand the suffering of the patient. And we have this wonderful big textbook you all know, but nobody reads. I did one. One of them I read from first to last page, but today nobody reads this book. And we have these messengers, but the short messengers just give, whether they care, whatever, give us small information. Tell you, there was a wonderful article that said it's too much truth in it. Human life is more flexible than the yes or no. And if you teach diseases only with these messengers, you don't get a feeling. And the third aspect is that dermatology is vision. If a patient comes, before I take a camera, I have the diagnosis. The most important part in treatment is to tell the patient what he has and explain him the treatment you recommend. And if he doesn't like it, think about another one. So what we tried with this book is, on the one side, to be complete. It's not so small, it's relatively thick, but to make it easier. Dermatology is visible. It's a visual discipline. We made on one side the text, which allowed us to condense the text. That if you compare, for example, the lupus chapter with one of the big textbooks, it's everything in there, or almost everything in there. Yeah, with less words, it was much work to make it in a comprehensive way, and then it was facilitated by the pictures on the right side. So we always stayed with the epidemiologists, the pathophysiologists, and go to the clinics. And from this, we now try to develop the classical and the modern treatments. That was our goal.
Thank you very much. And to Professor Tao, as the lead translator of the Chinese edition, what impressed you most during the translation process? And were there any particular challenges, insights, or memorable experiences that stood out to you?
Okay, so Professor Martin mentioned that this pocket book, yeah, so there are a lot of images. Yeah, actually, maybe every right is image and left is the text. Yeah, so it's easier for the readers to understand. Yeah, so there is the Chinese idioms So a good picture is worth 1,000 words. Yeah, so this is the most impressive to me. So this is first. And second one is, 2024 in Wuhan, in CPA. And Martin was first time to Wuhan. Yeah, so we met the Martin. And he is very friendly. And after that, we communicate with a lot online. Not only the portrait, yeah, but also a lot of the refractory skin disease. So actually, the Martin gave me a lot of suggestions for the refractory skin disease, such as the psoriasis with tumor. Yeah, so I think the Martin and the Martin team has a lot of the experience about the skin disease. And also, last year we met in Paris. Yeah, in EADV. Yeah, EADV. And at that time, I'm so moved by, Martin invited me to have lunch. Yeah, together. Yeah, so we take a photo. So, every presentation, I want to show Chinese the audience about the picture, because the relationship between the China and the German is very, very good. And I'm from the Tongji Medical College. The origin of the Tongji Medical College also German. Yeah, so in Tongji Medical College, we not only study English, but also study German. Yeah. So this is the reason. Yeah, so I want to take the team to translate this book. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah. And working together on this project, what similarities and differences did you observe between Chinese and German dermatology, and particularly in clinical decision making or medical education and physician training?
As Professor Carr told us that since 2024 we are closely collaborating.
Yeah.
Both on clinical topics and on understanding dermatology, on science, on treatment. We even wrote papers together, and consensus papers, and we realized that we are relatively close, but there are differences. For example, scar formation is different in China compared to Europeans. And it was, for me, really, I have to thank you, a real enrichment to know dermatology here, to know the kind man, people here. It was a really very friendly and lovely welcome in Wuhan. And but from this personal experience, we learned that we could do something together for the dermatologists and finally for our patients. That's why we thought that we had almost the same time the idea to make this book as a German-Chinese or Chinese-German book. And hopefully we have a third edition, which is really written together.
Okay. And actually, for me, I think the Chinese dermatology, so maybe most of the skin disease we use the experience, just clinical experience, maybe not the mechanism. But for the German dermatology, like the Martin, I think he not only know the manifestation and the therapy, advanced therapy, but also he know about the advanced, like the technology, like the pathology, like that, and the mechanism. And he also built a large foundation with the international colleagues. Yeah, so actually he helped me to do my collator in nail, and not only his experience, but also from his co-workers' experience. Yeah, so I think I can learn a lot from him and from his friend. Yeah,
it's mutually learning.
Okay. Mutually. Yeah. I agree with you. Yeah.
Okay.
We both learn from each other.
Yeah.
So let's go for the last question. As we all know, melanoma is one of the most aggressive forms of skin cancer and often presents with considerable clinical heterogeneity. And when relying on conventional clinical examination alone, what do you see as the greatest challenges in achieving early diagnosis and accurate prognostic assessment?
This is a question that really hits the heart of the book. Let's start at the end. Today we say that AI is extremely good in recognizing or making difference between a melanoma and a nevus. Good AI systems are almost as good as or like very good dermatologists. And people say, why not to use the AI? The key problem is not to make a diagnosis of a melanoma, but all those who have experience with non-dermatologists, these laypersons, know that patients come normally because of they are scared of a lesion which has nothing to do with melanoma. Seborrheic keratosis, indigenous, or something which is not. And frequently they come with melanomas. Nobody, neither dermatology and let's say general practitioner, knows the patient thinks of. And the first important point is to have an impression of the patient and to see what of the lesions could be a melanoma and which one not, and then focus on this. And I think this is, and that's a little bit what we want to bring with the book, that we bring to those who want to learn dermatology, that they immediately grasp the patient has this or this disease, or if I'm not sure, between A and B, and then go into detail. And this is done relatively quickly. But for this, you need a real good eye and knowledge of the diseases. And that's why we have this book with these many pictures and a background to understand what's going on. And then we can make the diagnosis. And today, with the dermoscopy and so on, we are really 92%, and here somewhere in a range where you cannot go above. But what is important also is to make, for many diseases, probably in the future, to the diagnosis very early. As we are working now on the genetics of melanoma, we see that melanomas can slowly or rapidly, and then it's really dangerous, develop a kind of genetic independence from all control mechanisms. And that's what we also try to bring in the book. Some have genetic sensitivity to develop melanomas, and others develop some de novo. And that we learn that early recognition and surgery, early surgery is the safest way to protect people, most important way to protect people from more aggressive melanomas. And then we tried also to put into the book how future treatments development will work when we know more about the genetics, and why we have sometimes so good success and sometimes less.
Okay, thank you.
And okay, so I hope the cooperation and the friendship between China and Martin German. Yeah, so we want to make a contribution to move it, the teaching, the melanoma and other skin diseases.
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you so much. And friendship between populations is always starts with friends. Science and arts.
Yes, and thank you both for sharing your valuable insights and experiences with us today. And it has been a great pleasure speaking with you two. Yeah, and we look forward to seeing you again and continuing these important conversations in the future. And thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.